Hey guys, welcome back to Bullion Watch channel. And guys, in today's video, I want to do a comparison video or versus video, whatever you want to call it. So I just want to compare these two pieces from Rolex. Okay, this is from my personal collection. So here we have Rolex Milgauss. This is the Rolex Milgauss Black GV with a green crystal. And then this one on this besides the Milgauss, we have the Rolex Sea Dweller. This is pre-ceramic 16600. Both of these pieces, guys, I have done full review. So if you want to check it out, I mean, go ahead, go to my channel and check out the full review. Okay, I did an unboxing video for each of these two, and then I did a full video review. So yeah, so today it's not gonna be about review, but it's just me comparing these two like side by side, because when I did the review for each individually, they are on their own. Okay, but now we gonna compare them like side by side. Okay, so you will have a better understanding, a clearer picture about these two pieces. Okay, by comparing them like side by side. Okay guys, so first of all, let's talk about I guess the biggest aspect of the watch. Okay, let's talk about the dial. Okay, so the dial of these two watches, I mean, there are a lot of differences. Okay, so first, I think as you can see, Milgauss, it doesn't have a date. Okay, so it's very simple. I really like it. I have a special feeling towards a timepiece with no date. Okay, it's very simple, and you will not run into risk of mess up the date. Okay, because a lot of people they do not, when they set the date, especially those people who are not really into watches and they just wear the watch, sometimes they are not aware of the danger zone, and then they think like they can just mess around with the date whenever they like to set the date. Okay, but that's not really the case. So with a timepiece like this, simple timepiece like this Milgauss with no date, it's very nice. When it dies, you just set the time, and and then that's it. You're good to go. You don't have to be worried about messing up the date. And then yeah, so it's just easier to set the date. Okay, especially if you have like multiple watches in your collection. So definitely a plus point. Okay, even though you can argue that, oh yeah, it lacks certain complication, the date complication, but I personally like it. But then here with the Sea Dweller, there is a date, and what I really like about this Sea Dweller is that even though it has a date, but not like other Rolex timepieces, it doesn't have this cyclops. Okay, I really hate the cyclops. Okay, that's why I will never get the Rolex Submariner date, because it has a date but also at the same time cyclops. But Sea Dweller is very neat. Okay, so you have a date but then it doesn't have cyclops, so the date is kind of like it blends in really well with the hour markers, okay, around the dial. So that's the first difference, the biggest difference. And then here with the Rolex Sea Dweller, the logo, the Rolex logo, the crown logo is printed, but then here with the Milgauss is applied white gold. So that's very nice. And then all the hour markers for both of these timepieces, they're all layered with white gold. And with the Milgauss, this is another interesting feature. You can see that there's like this green crystal around the dial. That's really nice touch. Okay, that's actually one of the reasons why I really love this timepiece, and finally I bought it, because I'm enamored with that GV, okay, that green crystal, because no other timepieces in the market, guys, that have this kind of feature. Okay, and Rolex, from what I understand, last time I spoke with the Rolex guy in the boutique, and then he even said like, oh, Rolex didn't even bother to patent it, because they basically challenge everybody who basically can, if you can produce this GV, this green crystal on your timepiece, I mean, go ahead and do it. I don't have to patent it, because so that tells you that it's, I guess, okay, it must be very challenging to produce this thing. Otherwise they would have patented this GV, this crystal how like how to make this green crystal, right? If it was that challenging, um, I mean, if it was so easy, I mean, they would have patented it. So obviously it's not really easy to duplicate this process. And then let's talk about the accuracy, guys. Okay, so based on my experience, it can vary, okay, from one copy to another copy. But then from my experience, the accuracy for these two watches are very, very amazing. Okay, Rolex is well known for the superlative what is it, super COSC standard. Okay, so with the Milgauss, I gain about 1 second in a day. And then with the Sea Dweller, it's ridiculously accurate. It's about, I don't know, like half second, 3/4 second. So basically, I gain less than 1 second in a day with the Sea Dweller. So this one is equipped with the movement 3135, the caliber 3135 from Rolex, and then this one is equipped with the caliber 3131, this Milgauss. Okay, so it's basically the same as the what is it, the Rolex Submariner movement, okay, 3130, but Rolex makes a slight modification with this Milgauss because it's an anti-magnetic watch. So basically both are very, very accurate, but then the Sea Dweller has an advantage, okay, slight advantage, okay, which is very, very minor and it's not going to be very important in daily life, because if you just gain like 1 second in a day, that's actually very, very good enough already. Okay, so the differences in accuracy between these two timepieces is just so minuscule to the point that we don't even have to talk about it actually, but I just want to mention it to you that this one is more accurate, even though it's just slightly more accurate. Okay, and then let's talk about this one as a diverse watch, because this is a diverse watch. The bezel is different. It has this aluminum bezel, rotating aluminum bezel, but then here Milgauss, it doesn't have any bezel, and the bezel here is polished. So that makes the Milgauss more dressy compared to this Sea Dweller. But both of these timepieces, guys, they're actually both of them are sports watch. Okay, and this Milgauss, I really like the versatility of this watch. Okay, even though this is technically a sports watch, but because of this polished bezel around the dial, it can, I can really dress it down. I can also at the same time dress it up. So it's very, very versatile, very flexible kind of watch. Okay, I like it because it's a little bit more dressy than this Sea Dweller, which is just completely a tool watch. And then still on the dial, I really like the let's talk about the design of the second hand. The second hand, the Milgauss, is also very, very unique. It has this orange lightning bolt second hand, but with the Sea Dweller, it's this polished second hand, which is very, very common, I would say, okay, among other Rolex models, because like Rolex Explorer, they share the same, Rolex Explorer, Rolex Submariner, Rolex Sea Dweller, they all share the same design of the second hand. But with the Milgauss, you don't have this kind of second hand with any other Rolex models, okay, on their line. But then only Milgauss has this lightning bolt, thunderbolt second hand. Okay, so which is making this Milgauss is it's this is a bit quirky, but at the same time it's just making it a very, very unique piece from Rolex. And then let's talk now about the proportion, guys. Okay, so the proportion, both of these watches, they are 40 millimeter, and then the thickness of this watch, the Sea Dweller, I look it up on a website, is 14.8 millimeter, but then with the Milgauss is 13.2 millimeter. But this is the part that I really need to make a video and to show you. It's very, I mean, I've played around with like multiple timepieces, and I gotta tell you, most of the time the paper spec is horse crap. Okay, And the reason why, because you really have to see and bond with the watch and play around with the watch. I mean, for you to understand really um, how it wears, you know, like the real thickness. Because you know, the paper spec is really inaccurate. For example, both of these timepieces, they're all stated as 40 millimeter, okay? But with the Milgauss, I measure it with the ruler, right? So I get about 39 millimeter actually, okay? From the end of the bezel, from one end of the bezel here to the other end of the bezel, I get it as 39 millimeter. But with the Sea Dweller, if I measure from here all the way to here, it's about 39.5 millimeter, 39 to 39.5, okay? It's very it's around there, okay? So it's definitely not 40 millimeter, okay? But Rolex overstated the case diameter, and then oh yeah, by the way guys, even though both of them are black color, okay, but you gotta understand the dial here, the black is glossy black, the Sea Dweller, but then Rolex Milgauss has the matte black dial, so this is not glossy. And then so yeah, let's go back to the thickness, okay? So the thickness of so the case diameter 39.5, this one 39 millimeter, okay? And the thickness, and this is another misrepresentation from Rolex. So here, okay, with Milgauss, as you can see, it's stated as 13 millimeter, the thickness of Milgauss. This one is 13.2 millimeter. If you go to the website, like, check it, and this one is stated as 14.8 millimeter. But as you can see, if you look at it like side by side like this, you're gonna see like this one is actually thicker, right? Don't you agree with me on this? You can see, guys. So this one is definitely like looks thicker and looks bigger, and it's true. And the reason why they put as 13.2 millimeter is because they measure it from the bottom of the case here all the way to the top of the crystal. And same with the Sea Dweller. When they measure the thickness of the watch, okay, they got 14.8 millimeter because they measure from the bottom of this bulge here below the case all the way to the top of the crystal. And so actually the reason why the Sea Dweller is stated as, you know, as thick as 14.8 millimeter is because the Sea Dweller has this bulge, guys, this bulge, okay, below the case, because this watch can go down as deep as 1.2 kilometers or 4,000 feet deep into the water. So you know, the watch is quite thick, but the thickness is actually resulted from this bulge, okay, below the case, okay? If you eliminate the bulge, okay, this one is actually a thin watch, okay? Whereas with the Milgauss, it doesn't have that kind of bulge, okay? It has a little bit of bulge there, but then it's not as prominent as the Sea Dweller. But then if you just look at the case, okay, if we don't talk about the bulge, but we just compare the case side by side, actually the Milgauss is actually thicker. This is something that's very interesting, and this is something that I want to point out in this video, so you can, this is the reason why I do this comparison video, so you can see like side by side the difference between these two pieces. And so this watch, I mean, if I just if let's say without considering the bulge, and if I just measure the thickness of the case, Milgauss, I get about 6.5 millimeter, but then here with the Sea Dweller, I get it about 5 millimeter. So the Milgauss is definitely thicker, guys, by about, you know, almost 20%, okay, about 20% thicker. And then when if I put it on the wrist, and this is something that's also very interesting, like even though it's 14.8 millimeter because of that bulge, but then if you know, this piece, the Sea Dweller, if I put it on the wrist, you can see like the bulge completely nestle in, okay? So it goes, you know, it basically it disappears, okay? So it kind of like gets swallowed up, you know, by the skin. All right, so you can see. So if you wear the Sea Dweller, the bulge actually, even though it makes the watch thicker at 14.8, but then once you put it on, you know, the bulge completely disappear under the skin. So you know, it makes the watch a little bit uncomfortable, I would say. Okay, so definitely, I mean, in terms of comfort, I find that wearing a Milgauss is more comfortable because the bulge is not as prominent as this Sea Dweller. Even though once you put it on, the watch is actually, this watch looks thin, because if you like I said before, the case thickness, okay, without considering the bulge, is actually only 5 millimeters, so it looks thin, but once you put it on, the bulge would press against the surface of your skin. Okay, so make it a little bit less comfortable. And with the Milgauss, you will not have that kind of problem because it's relatively flat, even though there's a bulge, but it's not as prominent as the Sea Dweller. Okay, so yeah, but with the Milgauss, here, if I put it on the wrist, you can see like it's very, very it's just muscular. Okay, it looks more muscular because it's thicker, and the watch is equipped with the Faraday cage because this is an anti-magnetic watch, so that's why it's more it's more fat. And this one, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, let's talk about the finally, I want to touch on the value, I guess, to wrap up this comparison. Oh yeah, before that, and maybe I will touch the last point, the lock on this two timepieces. Okay, as you can see with the Sea Dweller 16600, because this is a 5-digit serial number, from 5-digit model number from Rolex, the lock is actually very, very thin. And whereas with Milgauss, it's also thin, but it's thicker. Okay, because this is a more modern Rolex, and I really like the lock of the Milgauss because it's not like Submariner. The Submariner has this maxi dial and the very, very huge lock, but with the Milgauss, you have this tapered down lock, that flows nicely downwards. It's very, very nice. So yeah, finally guys, let's wrap this up and let's get to the conclusion. I mean, which one is the winner? Which one do I like better? So okay guys, this is my verdict. Okay, I would say, if I have to choose between these two timepieces, I mean, which one do I like better? I think overall, I would say I will pick this one. Okay, if you just want to have like one watch, I think the Sea Dweller wins because it's it shares the same iconic look as the Submariner, whereas the Milgauss is strikes me as this watch that's just like so fun, quirky, and polarizing, I would say. But then here's the thing, even though this is technically a better watch. Oh yeah, by the way guys, this one can go down deep as 4,000 feet, but this one is only 100 meters water resistance. Okay, so in terms of water resistance, this one can go 12 times deeper than Milgauss does. And so basically, if I have to choose, this one is actually a better watch in my opinion. Okay, the Sea Dweller. But the thing is, the look is very, very similar to Submariner. So unless you know a lot about watches, I mean, most people will probably think that this, if you wear this, they're gonna think like, oh yeah, you wear Submariner. Whereas the Milgauss, I think the design is more unique, it's more interesting, it's more I would say entertaining. It's very, very quirky, and I think among all of the sport models from Rolex, this is the one that I like that I find like the most interesting, because with the lightning bolt hands and the how thick it is, the case, and then this green crystal. Not only no other watches in the market that share this kind of feature, but even among all the Rolex models, I mean, this is the only model that has this GV crystal. So I would say this is a better watch, Rolex Sea Dweller, but Milgauss is definitely more interesting. And if I have to choose, if let's say I can only have one watch, I probably will pick this one up. I'll probably will pick this one. But then, if I want to build like a variety of collection, like the very few different pieces, if I want to have like more than one piece, I would definitely get the Milgauss, okay, because it's just more interesting, it's more playful, and yeah, and I think that it also has a chance to be a collectible item in the future. All right, guys, that's all about it. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I'm gonna cut this short, and subscribe to this channel if you can, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.